Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Brandon Warwick here for Combat Sports UK. I'm delighted today to be joined by someone who, there's a lot of hype coming out of this woman's camp at the minute. She continued her unbeaten amateur form into her pro career, getting a win in her pro debut in front of her home crowd, her home fans. A dream come true for Gemma Auld. Thank you very much for coming on, Gemma. How's things?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Can you try and summarise how that felt? Your pro debut, there's obviously a lot of pressure in that in itself, going out there and doing it in the biggest arena in your home country. How did that feel?
Oh, do you know something? I actually don't even know how to explain how it felt. Like, everyone has asked me that since, and it's so hard to put into words. Like, for me, there was so much more to that than even, like, the hydro and it being my pro debut, because I'd moved gyms. It was my first fight out of a new gym. It was my first pro fight. Like, there was just so much that had changed between, like, my last amateur fight and that. So there was so much, like, pressure on me, like, that I'd put on myself, obviously. But it just, like, and then when all that pressure was gone and I had won and my hand was raised and everything, just, like, looking around and being in the hydro, and it was, like, the first time I had, like, friends and stuff there watching me and everything. It was just amazing. Like, the best night of my life, genuinely.
Had you felt extra added pressure? Obviously, your next fight is always your biggest fight yet, and you always feel that pressure. But did you feel more nerves and more pressure coming into this one just because of the scenario that it was in?
Yeah, in some ways, I think, like, more so because I was at a new gym and it was pro. I think just for the level being upped and obviously being in higher level, training around people who are, like, already established pros, I just felt like I was determined to kind of prove that I belonged there, if you know what I mean. So for me, that was, like, the main kind of pressure, and I do feel nervous and a lot of pressure for every fight, regardless, like, where it is, when it is. Like, it doesn't seem to matter. I kind of feel the same for them all. Like you say, the next fight's always the biggest one, but I think as well, being undefeated, like, every fight seems like a bigger deal because you're like, oh no, like, I can't lose this undefeated, like, streak. I need to win, and I know everyone always wants to win, but there's that kind of weird added pressure that comes with that too. Everyone's expecting me to win. Like, that's kind of, I'd say that's the kind of main things that I was kind of, like, worried about mostly, was just, like, proving myself in that new gym and new environment around, like, people who are already established, and then just, like, not making my first loss be on my pro debut in the hydro, but luckily it went well.
You certainly went out there and impressed and proved that you are there to stay and that you can hang with these guys in higher level martial arts. You're well and truly part of the crew now, getting that win. When you manifested it, did you dream of it going as well as what it did, like a first round finish? Surely you obviously think you're going to win, but did you see it playing out just as perfect?
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to happen. I think, like, my amateur career, my first fight was a first round finish. And in my head, I was like, it would be great to get that again at pro and just sort of start it off the same way. And that is kind of what I wanted to happen, but I didn't, it wasn't like I thought that is what is going to happen. I didn't really know how it was going to go, and my opponent changed, like, quite late on and stuff. So, like, all my kind of visualizations that I had been doing had sort of changed, and I just, like, all I knew was I'm going to win this, but I didn't know how or when or any of that. But what I wanted to happen was a first round finish, and that's what I got. So it was amazing, especially with it being, like, I was saying this to James the other day, actually, like, that was my first experience of it being, like, so close to the end of the round and having a chance to finish it, but also there was a high chance that the ref wasn't going to stop it. And I think, like, there had been another point in the round where the ref was going to stop it, and then she had, like, done something which meant it carried on, and then I heard him say, like, 10 seconds, and I was like, I need to finish this. But I did, luckily. So it was just a kind of different, I mean, it was amazing. I'm so glad that it went to that last, like, 10 seconds as well, because that was, like, that just made it so much better. When he said stop, I was just like, thank God I don't need another round of this.
I know. It was just in time, wasn't it? And I think I think as well, the fact you're able to get the first round finish, but you still pretty much fought the whole first round. I had Mark Ewan on, and he was discussing about how he was only in there for 90 seconds, and about how it's as a kind of hard when it's that fast, they really soak it all in. But you had plenty of time. You were in there nearly 5 minutes and still got the first round finish. So that was great. I want to kind of go back to your amateur debut. You made that in June of 2023. Then within the next 15 months, you had 6 wins. That's incredible form. Was that always the plan? They bang out fights as quick as that when you started?
Yeah, well, actually, it was actually 9.5 months because I had a break there. So my first amateur fight was 24th of June, and my last amateur fight was, I think it was the 6th of April. So I had 6 wins between June and April. So yeah, it was pretty quick, but it wasn't really the plan. The plan was just kind of take a fight, see if I liked it, and see what happened from there, kind of thing. When I took the first one, it was more of just like I was going to see if I can do this kind of thing. And then, like you were just saying there, my first fight, it finished within I think it was roughly about 90 seconds as well, maybe 2 minutes or something. So I felt a bit like, and it also was my first fight as well, it was just like, I don't really even feel as if I've done a fight. Like, I don't think I've had the experience, so I wanted to do it again because I still didn't feel as if I'd had that experience that I was looking for. And my second fight was the same again. So then I was determined to keep kind of taking fights until I felt like I'd had the full experience. But then by the time I got to the third one, I was like, well, I'm actually doing pretty well at this. I might as well just carry on, and started enjoying it and stuff. So yeah, I think, and then we weren't sure how many kind of fights I'd be able to get, because it's not like there's loads and loads of girls, amateurs anyway, in the UK. So it was I knew it wasn't going to be easy to get fights. So we just kind of took whatever was going, and I was kind of looking at maybe going and doing the Four Nations amateur, because I thought that would be nobody's going to reject the fight at that point because it's a tournament. If I was kind of running out of fights, that would have been the next step, and then looking to go pro. But obviously then when the opportunity came up for PFL, I couldn't turn that down. So, and I don't know what's happened with the Four Nations this year. It was in the summer last year, but it's not happened yet, so I wouldn't be waiting around for that. But I don't know how many more amateur fights I'd have been able to get in. Just the more the record was getting better and better, it was harder and harder to get things sorted. So yeah, but I never even had a plan. It just sort of went really, really well, and I just rode with it.
I went perfectly. Being around the sort of, you kind of mentioned it, but being around the success of higher level MMA and having James Dillon as the head coach now, and the sheer talent that's coming out of there is unreal. Do you feel that gives you extra motivation and an extra push to go on and want to win and want to do well?
It definitely does. It makes it seem more in reach, I would say. Being around people that have kind of been there and done it, even just being on that show there with Stevie Ray and listening to him talking about all the fights he's had and all the experiences, and I was just sitting there thinking this is the very beginning for me, compared to what these guys are doing, it's amazing. And it just kind of lets you see I am actually on the same path that they were once on, and look where they are now. But for me, when I was training at Ayrshire Hit Squad with Neil, that was perfect training for what I needed when I was at amateur. It was the right level of training at that time and the right level of coaching and whatever. But just when I was thinking about going pro and things were starting to kind of ramp up a wee bit, it was just made sense to kind of move somewhere where I was around people that were more experienced in that kind of field, and Neil agreed with that too. And obviously James is his level of experience is just absolutely unmatched anywhere. So couldn't be in any better hands. I think there's nothing that can come up that he won't have experienced. And even with training females too, he's obviously had that experience as well. So it's yeah, it's a perfect place to be in. I mean, just looking at how well everyone's doing, just as a testament to him and how what an amazing coach he is. But for me as well, when I'm kind of at the beginning of this, it's even though I'm pro now, I think with the fact I've only been fighting just over a year, I still feel dead new. And there's so many people around me that aren't coaches that can still help me in loads of ways because they've got so much more experience than me. People like Lorenzo, I think he's had some 20 amateur fights or something before his pro career. So these people are all so much more experienced than me, which is great to speak to them and kind of find out how they felt at these points and whatever, and just about everything you're kind of going through in a camp, like they all kind of know so much more about it than me. So it's great to be around like people that know all this, that can kind of guide me.
It's nice having that blueprint there of the successful people that is coming out of that gym. And that there night, you know, for the PFL, they come to Glasgow and they have so much Scottish talent on the card. It was a big achievement in itself. But as I said to James when I was speaking to him, they go 4-0 on that night as a gym. It's incredible, really. How did you get started in MMA? Because obviously you've only been fighting for like just over a year. So what was the kind of journey leading into that?
So basically, it's kind of a weird one. I did, honestly, like, I've only been training for 4 years MMA. So basically, I used to work in Kilmarnock Football Club. I'm from Kilmarnock. That's like our local club. And there was a gym there where I used to train like just weights. That was just what I did all the time. And then it shut down, and I joined like a local Thai gym just to kind of use the weights area. But I did Thai just for kind of fitness, like a few times a week. Then I started getting quite into that and enjoying it. And then I heard about Ayrshire Hit Squad, which was like my first MMA gym, and I started training there just striking, just kind of before lockdown. And then everybody was doing MMA, like basically except like me and a couple others. And I wanted, like, the way I like to train is just to like go to everything that's on. So then I just wanted to be able to go to all the classes. So I was like, oh, I'll just give it a go and see if I like it. So just like kind of end the lockdown, once the gyms reopened and stuff, I started trying like jiu-jitsu and trying the classes. And as soon as I did jiu-jitsu, I was like, I love this. Like, it's the best. And I got right into that for a while. Did a few jiu-jitsu competitions and stuff. And then that's what kind of gave me the confidence to start like fighting MMA. And just kind of went on from there. It sort of happened by accident, to be honest. Honestly didn't even know what MMA was when I joined Neils. I had no idea.
That is crazy. And that was only four years ago, like, and you've came a long way since then. Must have taken a lot of hard work.
Oh, I think like my kind of style is, if I like something, just like hammer it. Because even when I was only training weights, I was training like every day, at least a couple hours a day, running and doing all sorts of other stuff. Like, just like when I like something, I'll give it everything. And then this is like another level of that, because now it's like my job as well. So it's amazing. Like, I've always kind of had that feeling of like there's something fitness related I'm going to get into that's going to become like my life, but I just didn't know what it was. And I just enjoyed training and being active, but I didn't really know where my niche was going to be. And then as soon as I started jiu-jitsu, I was like, this is it.
It's very, very addictive, isn't it? Very addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Right, cool. We're going to go through some quick fire questions. So a bit quicker paced.
I'm rubbish at things like
They're not too difficult. They're a bit more lighthearted. I wanted to ask you as first one, because I'm a big fan and I've seen you're a big fan. Favorite Jerry Cinnamon song?
Oh, probably Where We're Going.
Oh, good one. That's a good one. I like a bit of Keezy's. Keezy's would be my favorite, I would say.
Oh, okay.
The fighter who has inspired you the most?
That's a really hard one. Oh, I don't know how to answer that. There's so many. To me, like, I think this is a bit cheesy, but like, I never really think about like your kind of big time like UFC fighters and that. When I think of questions like that, I just think about like people I train with, really. And I couldn't pick just one, but to me, like, people who inspire me the most are people that are in the gym, like training with me every day, like Dylan, Mark, Lorenzo, like that. These are the people I'd say are my main kind of inspiration.
I love that you've kept it closer to home there as well. KO or submission?
Submission. It would be cool to get a KO, but I think the chances are slim. I prefer a submission.
Dream fight location?
Oh, probably again, this is a bit cheesy, but probably Glasgow again. Like, I think you wouldn't get much better than that.
The atmosphere that night, I was jealous that I didn't go over to it. The atmosphere looked unbelievable that night.
Oh, it was amazing.
Favorite way to celebrate a win?
Oh, a twirl. Every fight I have a twirl. My friend buys me it, and I take it with me to fight. And as soon as I win, I have my wee victory twirl, I call it.
That's class. That's class.
I do.
Some people's a pint or a cocktail or a burger and yours is a nice wee simple twirl.
A twirl, yep.
Unreal, unreal. Last quick fire one. Favourite Scottish sports person?
Oh, I don't know.
Hard one.
I have no idea. I can't decide. And this sounds silly, but I'm not like really that into like sports in general. I don't really I don't really know. I've no idea. Sorry, I don't know.
All good, all good. Right, so time for a couple of more kind of deeper ones. What advice would you have for any young girls or woman who is wanting to pursue a career in MMA?
I would say, like, I've got loads of advice I'd give to anyone, like, not even young, because, I think it's the type of thing that you could easily look at. It's overwhelming, like, how much there is to learn, and when you look at other people and where they are and, like, their experience and skill, it's, like, really, like, there's no way I'm ever going to get to that. But then I was, like, so I'm 34 now, so I was 30 when I started training, like, which is pretty old. Like, and I mean, like, I hadn't done anything. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I've only been training MMA for 4 years, but I was doing jiu-jitsu when I was a kid. And, like, I literally hadn't done anything like that. Never been to a boxing class or anything when I was a kid, nothing like that. And I was able to start at 30. And now I'm 34 and I'm signed to PFL on a multi-fight deal, looking to go into this tournament next year. Like, it's definitely doable for anyone. And I mean, like, no matter what your background is, no matter, like, what your experience is, I would just say, like, if there's any party that wants to do it, go for it. Like, it is tough and you need to be committed and you need to be able to give, like, I mean, I've sacrificed loads of stuff to be able to train like the way I am now, but if you really want it, that's what you will do, but it's definitely doable. And I think especially, like, people who are maybe that wee bit older that would feel like they were too old to start, like, you definitely aren't. I can start at 30. And I mean, I never started fighting until I was 32. So.
That's crazy, and that is great advice. And you know, if there's young girls or women out there, they can look at your career so far and the short time that it has been, and look at the progress you've made, and it's definitely an inspiration. What is the ultimate dream in this sport for you then?
What was that, sorry?
What's the ultimate goal? What's the dream? How far do you think you can take this? You obviously mentioned the tournament there. Is that next for you, or?
Yeah, so that's my plan for next year, and hopefully, like, it'll be the tournament next year for the PFL Europe. But ultimately, the goal, I think, like, I don't have a lot of time really to fight. Say, like, maybe look at retiring when I'm, say, like, maybe 40 or something, all going well. And I think that's enough time. Hopefully, I would like to go UFC, get a title there. That would be the ultimate dream, I think. And I think 6 years, that's plenty of time to do that. If I can do all what I've done there in a year and 4 months, I can definitely get.
You could do it in 2.
Yeah, I think that's the dream for everyone.
Cool. Final question, something a bit deeper. Why do you fight?
I think for me, it's about proving to myself I can do, like, scary things and hard things that I never thought I'd be able to do. And it's as much as, like, there's a team around you and everything, it's a very, like, kind of lonely sport. Like, once you get in the cage, it's just you. Like, and yeah, you've got a corner and there's people behind you, but for me, like, growing up, I was always quite anxious and not, like, the most confident in myself. So I think, like, it's kind of pushing myself to do something where I have to be confident in myself every time I do it. And the whole way through training, I'm relying on me to go in that cage and protect myself and win. And I think, like, it's something I like to remind myself I can do, and that's why.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Gemma, for your time. It's been much appreciated, and congratulations again on the perfect start to your pro career. Cheers.
Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.